You are listening to the Space-Tastic Mysteries podcast. We are continuing Anna Gale Lyne's fourth novel in the Jaguar and Peacock series, Smoke and Mirrors. A deadly sniper stalks the stars. Aboard the Freedom Alliance's frontline StarVessels, crew members are being picked off one by one, the killer striking with chilling precision. When a member of Colonel Jessa Master's team is critically wounded, the threat becomes personal and impossible to ignore. Jessa is no stranger to danger, but this case rattles her. The sniper's methods seem hauntingly familiar, echoing a nearly forgotten nightmare from 9 years ago at the Freedom Alliance admission office, a tragedy she has tried to bury. Is it the same killer, back to settle unfinished business? Or is she chasing shadows conjured by her own haunted memory? As paranoia spreads through the fleet, Jessa must unravel a mystery that spans years and light years, navigating political intrigue, old grudges, and a ruthless enemy who always seems one step ahead. Stopping the sniper means confronting her own past and catching a ghost before he kills again. This is episode 3, Unexpected Visitors. If you have not subscribed, do so now, and hit the bell to be notified of new episodes.
Do you like it here, Remy? I questioned, looking over at the blonde-haired 11-year-old helping me do the dishes. I grabbed the plate that Remy dried with a towel and set it on top of the others in the cupboard on the bottom shelf. Just then I noticed the bottle of fruit juice on the counter with a card. I opened the card, to our beloved Colonel on her bundles of joy, compliments of the chef. I smiled, making a mental note to thank him, as I shoved it in the refrigerator. It was a little hard at first, trying to get used to my mom, well, he stammered, glancing bashfully at the plate he dried, being gone. I didn't quite know how to deal with you. I mean, well, he trudged through his words, not looking up at me. I know you don't want to replace my mom, but it was like you were stepping into the role whether you wanted to or not. He handed me the plate, which I stacked on the last one. Telling me when to go to bed, helping me with my homework, comforting me when I had a bad dream. It was hard to see that I could still love my mom and you too. My lips inched into a smile as I shut the cupboard door. Did you come to that conclusion on your own? Reggie may have helped a little. I leaned against the counter, folding my arms across my chest. What else did my wise daughter have to say? She told me that even though she still loved her dad, Nate was the father that her dad had left in charge of her. And she feels that it would make her dad sad to know that she didn't like his decision. Remy leaned against the opposite counter, hugging his chest. You are the mother my mom put in charge of me, so I don't think it will upset her if I call you Mama. He looked over at me, chewing on his lip. A bit of fear in his crystal blue eyes. If that's all right with you. Tears formed in my eyes as I inched the distance between Remy and me. I threw my arms around him, kissing the top of his head. Of course, it is, son. It's just fine, I whispered, tightening my embrace. I knew Remy would never call me Mom, and I wouldn't allow him to. Mom was reserved for his biological mother, Brooklyn Curzon. For him to call me Mama was enough for me. He wrapped his arms around me. After a few minutes, I broke the embrace. Hey, I was thinking, I used to play racquetball with your mom. Do you know how to play? Yeah, my mom taught me. Would you like to play racquetball with me? It could be a project we do together without the rest of the family. Reggie and I have our gardening. You and I can have this, if you want. He twisted his mouth, considering the possibility in his mind. A few seconds later, he grinned from ear to ear. When can we start? How about tomorrow afternoon after your studies with Joey? Around 1,530 hours? Okay. It's a date. He glanced down at his watch. I have to go meet Joey, Colin and Reggie for tonight's movie. He kissed my cheek hastily. Thanks. With that, he rushed out of the kitchen, leaving me to reflect on the events that had transpired between us. I was so caught up in my thoughts as I wiped down the counters that I didn't notice Nate slip into the kitchen. He eased his arms around my waist from behind, kissing my neck. Then he whispered in my ear, "What are you thinking about?" "How our son just called me Mama," I replied, turning around in his arms to face him. He asked me if it would be all right to call me Mama. I tilted my head and pinched my eyebrows together. I didn't think it would happen for a couple of years, and it's all Reggie's doing. Nate regarded me with a bewildered look. What does Reggie have to do with this? Suddenly, a knock came from the living room. An insistent knocking. It didn't sound the way anyone aboard knocked. Joey and Colin tapped rather than knocked. We programmed Reggie and Remy's fingerprints into the side panel, so they entered without knocking. Everyone else used the door chime. However, that knock sparked a twinge of a memory. I could see myself barricaded in my room when I lived at home with my father and brothers, nursing one of the many black eyes and bruises that I endured at the hands of my father. The insistent knock was that of my brother Paul. It couldn't be. What would he be doing here? Just ignore it, Nate insisted, pulling me against his chest. Again came the insistent knocking. I pushed him away. It could be important. I untangled myself from Nate, brushing past him and into the dining room. I headed to the front doors, instructing the doors to open. My heart sank as the doors split open and revealed two men about 6 feet 2 inches with dark hair that grayed at the temples, dressed in green medical scrubs. Identical in every way, from the left part in their hair to their long, Roman noses to their dark complexion. Robert and Paul. My brothers. I felt Nate's large hands clamp down on my shoulders. He moved his head around me, running his eyes over Robert from his head to his toes, and did the same with Paul. What are you doing here? As if ignoring Nate, Robert declared, didn't Dr. Manning tell you that he had called in experts to help Lieutenant Colonel Stetson and Lieutenant Kohler? I didn't realize he was calling in civilians, I told him, leaning against the door's frame. You've got exactly 10 minutes to convince me why I shouldn't shut these doors in your faces. I lifted up my watch and looked at it. Starting now. Is that any way to greet your brothers? Paul countered, wrinkling his nose in disgust. After all we've done for you. I clamped my eyes shut briefly. If you've come here to argue about our childhood and what did and didn't happen, someone is trying to kill us. We need your help, Robert interrupted, his voice shook. A warning sign that he was serious. My eyes flew open and fell upon Robert. I studied his face intensely. He wore black bags under his eyes, as if he'd forfeited many nights' sleep in favor of pacing the floor. His eyebrows pressed together, adding to the already growing creases on his forehead. His eyes almost bloodshot, as if thoughts of a peaceful sleep were a distant memory. I stepped aside, allowing them access. Okay, come in. I motioned for them to sit as Nate and I maneuvered through the chairs and coffee table of the conversational area to perch on the couch. I grabbed one of the throw pillows and shoved it behind my back, folding my arms across my stomach. I watched as Paul took the seat on the north side of the coffee table, nearest the dining room, and Robert sat in the chair to the south, close to the doors. I am assuming that you have gone to your local police before seeking me out. Am I correct? The Paradise Valley Police Department hasn't had any leads in the case and don't expect to, Paul answered, folding his hands in his lap as he surveyed the room. He made a tisk sound with his tongue. To my brothers, the celebrity doctors of Paradise Valley, Arizona, whose clinic only catered to those who netted more than $3 million a year, anything less than a 3-story mansion with a full staff and a heated indoor pool was a shabby shack. In that case, I need you to tell me what happened. We, gesturing between Nate and I, cannot help you if you are not completely honest with us, I told them, pursing my lips. The moment I find out either of you, glancing from one brother to the other, lied to Nate or me, you will be on your own. I rubbed the muscles in my neck. I couldn't believe I was helping these two after all they put me through. Enduring my father's abuse was painful, but having my own brothers tell everyone that it never happened, insinuating that I made the whole thing up, was 10 times worse than any hand my father laid on me. Even though I forgave them long ago, I struggled with the forgetting part. One of our clients, Mrs. by call, needed an immediate appointment. She called at 5 p.m., so we waited for her. Robert sighed, licking his lips. He wrung his hands as he continued, after her appointment, we closed up the clinic and headed to the parking garage. When we arrived, we walked in on a scene that we shouldn't have. This man screamed at another person. He waved a weapon, but not like normal ones but a smaller version of a sniper weapon like we saw in World War III at the second man, yelling, "You double-crosser. I told you if you double-crossed me, I would kill you." The second man begged for him not to, but the first man shot him. Robert caught my eye. When he saw us, he ran. I tried to chase him, but I lost him somewhere in the parking garage, Paul added, gazing at his hands. Then a few days later, the clinic started receiving threatening transmissions and letters. "Threatening how?" asked Nate. "Did you get a good look at the gunman?" I prodded, looking from one to the other and back again. The transmissions and letters, they were all the same, Robert observed in a low tone, scratching his nose. "They said, 'I will hunt you both down and kill you just like I killed Frank. Always signed, the Eliminator.'" "Did you get a good look at the gunman?" I repeated when Robert was through. I flipped off my shoes, putting my dark-socked feet on the edge of the coffee table. "He was about 6 feet 4 inches, Paul ventured, looking questioningly at Robert. "I think he was a little shorter, maybe 6 feet 2 inches or 6 feet 3 inches. But he was definitely thin and muscular, about 150 pounds. "About 140, Robert corrected, shifting in his chair to get a better view of Nate and me. "Dark hair and a goatee. And cologne that could be detected from a mile away," Paul recalled, scrunched his nose and waved his hand in front of it. "It smelled like when you've left meat in the refrigerator, and it goes bad." I turned to look at Robert. "Anything else you can remember?" "Not at the moment." Robert leaned back in his chair, intertwining his fingers behind his neck. "Now what do we do?" "You do what you normally do, you save your patients' lives and we will save yours," I instructed Robert. "I will have security guards assigned to you two at all times while you are aboard." I rubbed my chin as I glanced over at Nate. "That won't be easy with all the added security helping Colin, but I'll figure something out." I made a few calls on my commlet, reassigning 2 of Colin's security officers to Robert and Paul and recruiting 2 more of the Kennedy's guards to replace them. "Okay, now that the security matter is taken care of, I need to tell you something." I brought my foot to my lap, rubbing the ankle. My ankles were swollen from being on my feet too long. A price to pay for being pregnant. I peered from Robert to Paul. "We have reason to believe the person who shot Lieutenant Colonel Stetson and Lieutenant Kohler is still aboard this vessel. I have ordered the Liberty to be locked down." When they appeared confused, I elaborated, "It means that no one is permitted to come or go from this vessel, except security and other authorized personnel. In other words, you two are stuck here for a while." Robert took a deep breath. "How long, Robert stammered, closing his eyes briefly, "how long do we have to stay locked up here?" "As long as it takes," Nate answered, draping his arm around my shoulders. "However, you have 2 of the best VIP quarters on board, and you can call Trish and Lauren and the kids as often as you like." I switched feet and rubbed the other ankle, saying, "We will try to make your visit as comfortable as possible, considering the situation." Suddenly, my commlet chimed. "Colonel Masters, this is Dr. Manning. Lieutenant Colonel Stetson is awake and insisting on seeing you. She says it is important." "I'll be right there." I swung my legs around so they touched the floor. I slid my shoes back on and stood to my feet. "I'm sorry I have to cut this visit short." I headed around the coffee table, in front of Robert's chair and to the doors. "We'll go with you," Paul persisted, jumping to his feet. "She is our patient too." I gestured with my head for Nate to join me, casting him a desperate look. Nate rose from the couch. "Then let's all go." We moved like a herd of cattle toward the exit in a single file line.